The Love Song Podcast, the Love Song Media Production. I'm T Love. Welcome into another episode. Before we begin, I want to give some love out to my sponsor, Shirts and More, located at 2517 Jacob Street, Wheeling, West Virginia. Shirts and More is a family-owned business, and for over 40 years, they have been providing the best and most professional garments on the market, just like the garb you see T Love wearing here on set. Let Tracy, Dana, Braxton help, or any of their friendly staff help you with your next apparel need. You can contact them directly at 304-232-2030. Let them know T Love sent you, and I guarantee you they will take care of you. Today is episode 32, and we are going to be talking about Benjamin Netanyahu and Jared Kushner's Middle East plans. The Iran war is something that has been debated as most common sense Americans of what the hell are we doing? Why are we over there? You got to go back and think that in June of 2025, we did a secret, Midnight Hammer bombing attack on Iran, where we blew up their nuclear weapon facilities. According to Trump and Hegseth and all of the Trump administration, we obliterated the Iran nuclear program, setting it back decades. And then in March of 2026, we have to go to war. Interesting, huh? Let's look at the primary post-war smart city plan for Gaza. Is a Project Sunshine, a $112.1 billion 10-year U.S. proposal drafted by Jared Kushner and Middle East envoy Steve Witkoff. Let me read that one more time. The primary post-war smart city plan for Gaza is Project Sunshine, a $112.1 billion 10-year U.S. proposal drafted by Jared Kushner and Middle East envoy Steve Witkoff. Unveiled during the World Economic Forum. I'm sorry, I get tickled every time I see that fraud organization. The master plan envisions transforming the enclave into a high technical coastal metropolis with AI optimized smart grids, luxury resorts, and high speed rail. Wow. That's some interesting stuff right there, buddy. Let's look at the scale and the scope, shall we? The 10-year development targets a futuristic, tech-driven metropolis divided into residential, agricultural, industrial, and tourism zones. It includes 180 high-rise towers along with the Mediterranean coastline, data centers, and advanced manufacturing hubs. Let's look at the phased development, shall we? The project operates in 4 distinct phases. First, clearing of the rubble and the unexploded ordnance while providing temporary housing. Second, developing permanent infrastructure such as New Rafah as a seat of government. Third, building commercial centers. And fourth, completing luxury coastal development. I like that second part. They're going to develop a permanent infrastructure such as the New Rafah government taking over Gaza. Funding. The proposal estimates a $112.1 billion cost over the first decade. The U.S. would act as an anchor, potentially committing $60 billion in grants and debt guarantees to catalyze private investment. We're $40 trillion in debt. We give $3 billion a year to Israel, And now we're committing over a 10-year period another $60 billion in grants and debt guarantees to catalyze private investors to get involved with this. Let's look at some of the requirements. The plan's execution is contingent on major political and security shifts, including the demilitarization and decommissioning of Hamas's weapons and tunnels. My problem with that is the United States government has already been proven to be funding Hamas, Al-Qaeda, ISIS, Al-Qaeda, Jihad Al-Qaeda, the Somalian terrorists. The list goes on and on of the terrorists that we are funding. I mean, they had a congressional hearing on it. People went up and testified that we're giving them money through NGOs and other things. And they're saying that this is contingent upon Hamas being demilitarized. How are you going to do that when you're funding them? You're going to tell them to go somewhere else? Let's look at the current status and reception. While detailed, the proposal has drawn debate. State Department officials have pushed back against committing specific U.S. taxpayer funds to the tune of $60 billion. Furthermore, the plan has been met with skepticism by international analysts over the logistics of housing displaced residents during the construction and securing commitments from regional donor nations. You can read more about this U.S. proposals by reviewing the BBC News coverage or exploring the broader geopolitical and urban planning analysis on Al Jazeera, which will give you more accurate account of what is happening than the American legacy media outlets. I've said this before on other podcasts, on other episodes of my podcast. I'm going to say it again. If you want to really know what's going on with the United States government, don't turn on Fox. Don't turn on MS Now. Don't turn on CNN or ABC, CBS. Don't turn on any legacy media outlet in the United States, because you're not going to get the truth. If you want a more accurate depiction of what's going on with our policies, our politics, and all the things that is the American government, I implore you to go listen to the BBC, Al Jazeera, or Republic News, World Republic News. Very accurate. There's no Democrat spin, there's no Republican spin, it's just the facts. Much different reporting. But most Americans don't want to watch that kind of stuff because it's boring. You want to be entertained, and that's why you watch Fox and CNN and MSN Now. You don't care about facts. You care about entertainment value. And the government knows it, the media knows it, and they, as puppet masters, they got you jumping like a puppet. They've got you trained. They've got you brainwashed. They've got you absolutely ignorant of the facts. The U.S. has unveiled its plan for a new Gaza that would see the devastated Palestinian territory rebuilt from scratch. Slides show dozens of skyscrapers stretching along the Mediterranean coast and housing estates in the Rafah area, while a map outlining the phased development of new residential, agricultural, industrial areas for the 2.1 million population. They were presented during the signing ceremony at the World Economic Forum in Davos for President Donald Trump's new Board of Peace, which is tasked with ending the 2-year war between Israel and Hamas and overseeing reconstruction. We're going to be very successful in Gaza. It's going to be a great thing to watch, Trump declared. I'm a real estate person at heart, and it's all about location. And I said, look at this location on the sea. Look at this beautiful piece of property. what it could be for so many people, Trump was quoted. Trump's son-in-law, Jared Kushner, who helped broker the ceasefire that took effect in October, said 90,000 tons of munitions had been dropped on Gaza and there were 60 million tons of rubble to clear. It's the beginning. We were toying with the idea of saying, let's build a free zone, and then we have a Hamas zone. And then we said, you know what? Let's just plan for catastrophic success, he told the ceremony. Keep in mind, it is Jared Kushner who convinced President Trump to bomb Iran. What are you talking about, T-Love? No, that's not been said. That's because you watch American media. Now, let me tell you what really went down. Kushner got $2 billion from the Saudis and invested it into Phoenix Holdings. Let me back up. This is episode 32. On episode 31, I told you all about Jared Kushner and how he gets his money from the Saudis, and he gets his money from UAE, and he gets his money from Qatar, you know, that same country that everybody likes to bash Tucker Carlson because he allegedly gets his money, and I got one particular friend that likes to call him Qatar Carlson. Stop with your idiotic stuff. Stop reporting it one side. Report it factually. But you're not going to do that. Americans are not going to do that because they're too busy watching their designated legacy media. And I've already named them 100 times over. Y'all know who it is because you're watching it. Turn it off. Go watch Republic World News. Go watch Al Jazeera. Go watch the BBC, and then you will actually get educated on what's going on with your politics. You will not get the political theater that the puppet masters are perpetrating upon you and brainwashing you with. As I was saying, Kushner got $2 billion from the Saudis and invested it into Phoenix Holdings. That is the largest insurance company in Israel. He is the largest shareholder of Phoenix Holdings by far. Kushner took a standing rivalry between Israel and Saudi Arabia and turned it into an investment corridor, him being the corridor. Saudi millions flowing through Kushner into the Israeli economy, which is the behind-the-scenes money chest to build a new Middle East. It's called the New Israel Project. I'm doing a whole section on that. I'm still researching it. Every dollar that flows through it is a dollar that does not want Iran to be a part of the region. Just like Netanyahu's bid to topple Iraq and Saddam Hussein, and he got the United States to do his bidding. What are you talking about, T-Love? Go watch C-SPAN. Just Google Netanyahu on Capitol Hill, Iraq, and you will come up with 24 videos of him up there talking about how they need a regime change in Iraq. They need to take down Iraq. They need to do this to Iraq. They need to do that. And before you know it, George Bush 43 with his lying butt came up with the WMDs in Iraq. And then we went to war. And you need to understand that Saddam Hussein was friends with some of the top United States officials. I'm going to do an episode on that one too because it blew my mind when I found out that Rumsfeld and some of these Americans double-crossed this guy and killed him for his trouble. Or, excuse me, I can't say killed. They unalived him for his troubles. Just like Netanyahu wanted to topple Iraq and Saddam Hussein and got the United States to do their bidding, The February negotiations, where diplomats from Britain and Oman said a deal was close to getting done and a war could be avoided. But Kushner went back and told President Trump there was no chance for a deal and Iran was about to attack the United States. But the Pentagon tells Congress there was no signs that Iran was going to attack. One Gulf diplomat who has direct knowledge of the talks was furious with Witkoff and Kushner's behavior. Reuters reported that the diplomat described the pair as Israeli assets that had conspired to force the President of the United States into entering the war with Iran so Israel could take over their part of the region. Now, on Sunday, June 14th, 2026, the U.S. brokered a ceasefire with Iran. But wait, Iran is still under Iranian control, not the Israeli government, which means this ceasefire is temporary ceasefire. Besides, wasn't the Abraham Accord supposed to have prevented this war to begin with? I mean, let's take a look at this, right? I thought I had it in my production sheets, but I did not. Let me give you a little backstory on Benjamin Netanyahu and Jared Kushner. When Jared Kushner was a young man, his parents, when Benjamin Netanyahu would come to the United States, they would stay at the Kushner house. BiBi would sleep in Kushner's bed, forcing him on the couch or in the basement or wherever it was he went and slept, right? Kushner and BiBi have had a long-standing friendship. Kushner and Trump are being suckered by Netanyahu, and I don't know that it's Trump that's got suckered by Netanyahu as much as he's gotten suckered by Kushner. If you go back to Trump's first term, he didn't take a dime of AIPAC money. None. Just like when Jesse Jackson ran for president, 2 times, Donald Trump heavily financed Jesse Jackson's presidential runs, both of them. He financed his own presidential run. Trump was the uh-oh that the global elites had not planned for. I, for one, thought that Trump was the second coming of JFK, and he absolutely was in his first term. He pissed off both the Democrats and the Republicans because he wouldn't play ball with them at all. And now he is. His son-in-law has gotten filthy rich. Filthy rich. In the last episode, I talked about how much money he got from all of these people and the cuts he was taking. It was like $60 million a year. He's made $112 million so far off of his business dealings in the Middle East. And you've got some people on the Republican side that's like, oh, no, he's not doing anything wrong. He's good. No. But yet you bash Biden and Hunter, and rightfully so, for all of the Ukrainian money that got embezzled and laundered. The Trumps are doing the same thing. Isn't it? See, this is what I'm talking about between Democrat and Republican. When the Bidens was doing it, the Democrats said nothing. And the Republicans were hammering them. When the Clintons were doing it, the Democrats said nothing. And the Republicans were just hammering them. Now the Trumps are doing it. The Republicans are saying nothing. And now it's the Democrats' turn to hammer them. Stop being a Democrat and a Republican. Get back to being a stinking American. And I don't mean stinking in a bad way. I just, I say those things to cover up, some of the other words that probably should come out of my mouth, but I try to be very mindful of the words that I use. You're being played. You're being lied to. You're being lied to by your government. You're being lied to by the people that work in the administration. That is Trump, Biden, Obama, Bush 43, Clinton. I can go back to Bush 41, probably Reagan as well, because there were some bad players in Reagan's administration as well. We just didn't know about it because Reagan was such a wonderful negotiator himself. Carter was not a bad dude. He just surrounded himself with bad people, and that's why he went down as being the worst president. And I don't think he's the worst. Buchanan's the worst. He's the second worst president of all time next to Buchanan, until Joe Biden came along, who absolutely is the worst president of all time. Biden's the worst, Buchanan's next, and then Carter. You can put LBJ on that list. Bush 43 belongs on that list. Bush 41 belongs on that list. Obama belongs on that list. You're being brainwashed and believing that one side is different than the other. They're not. They're both just as corrupt and compromised as the other is, and they are both complicit in the other's compromisation and corruption. And if you don't know that, then you are severely ignorant of the facts. Or if you know what the facts are and you still go out here and preach to the top of your lungs that one side's better than the other, then you're nothing more than a political hack. You're a hypocrite. And all of these pastors, Democrat, Republican, like, they ain't, you got pastors on both sides of the aisle, and they're up there preaching from the pulpit that one side's better than the other. They're not. If you're a pastor, if you're a Republican, and you're going to a church, and your pastor's telling you that you need to vote Republican, I would probably question he's probably not talking to God. Because the Republicans under Bush 43 and Trump, 2 terms of Trump, are covering up the world's largest pedophile ring. So did Obama. So did Biden. If you're Democrat and you're going to a church and your pastor's telling you that God told you to vote Democrat, you're probably going to the wrong church. Because God would never tell you to vote for people who believe in killing babies. They would never, ever tell you to vote for people to push a rainbow movement, the alphabet people, whatever you want to call it. That's not how God works. I know that because God made Adam and Eve. He made male and he made female. All the other genders that came up were made up by the Democrats. It's just that simple. And Barack Obama did a really good job of leveraging the Department of Education with the Department of Justice as his backup to leverage that against all the public school systems in America to push the trans movement upon our children. And here you've got Jared Kushner, who you've got diplomats from Oman and British, I believe it was. Let me find my sheet here. British and Oman, yes, diplomats from Britain and Oman said a deal was close to getting done and war could be avoided. But Kushner went back and told the president there was no chance for a deal and Iran was about to attack the United States. Let me be really clear about something. I'm not an expert, but I've done a lot of research. Iran did not have the ballistic capabilities to touch us here on American soil. Now, they could have hit our bases overseas, don't get me wrong, over in the Middle East, right? But that's what's wrong with Americans today. You believe anything. They have been chanting for 30 years that Iran doesn't need a nuclear bomb. Benjamin Netanyahu has been going in front of Congress for like 25 years talking about it. He also talked about there needs to be change in Iraq. You've got a region over there that is the birthplace of Jesus Christ. That's where Jesus was persecuted. That's where he was crucified. And that's where he was resurrected. And these Israelites and these Palestinians have been fighting since the beginning of time. Most Americans can't grasp that. Even the biblical people who read the Bible, know the Bible, and been talking about it, they know the story and the history. But you can't grasp it because you live here in the United States. And I know you can't grasp it because on 9/11, when the alleged Islamic people attacked the United States, you were all in horror, shocked. Oh my God, they're attacking us. As long as they're bombing people overseas, you're good with it. Because it's not real. And you don't know what the truth is because you don't get it from your media. Donald Trump changed in his second administration. He's taken $230 million from APEC. Marian Adelson has given him like $114 million herself, I think. Not to mention Butler, Pennsylvania. And you want to know what really just pisses me off about Butler, Pennsylvania is the kid that shot Trump in Butler, Pennsylvania and killed the firefighter. Corey, I don't want to say his last name because I'll butcher it. But somebody died there. And there's people, oh, it was staged. No, somebody died, okay? It wasn't staged. The kid that shot Trump was Googled by someone in Israel 6 months before he shot him. And if you try to go on to Google today and check that, you can't find it. They took it down. Why would you take that down? Why would you take down that our Department of Homeland Security posted something on their official website, and when somebody checked it, it originated out of Israel? You can't find that anymore either. You also can't find where somebody in Washington, D.C. Googled the kid that shot, allegedly, Charlie Kirk. That boy never fired a shot. That's why you'll never see T. Love wearing a lapel mic, because that's where the shot came from. Do your research. Quit watching American media. Go out there and do your due diligence to find all. I've had all of this stuff. I've been working on it for a long time. Some of it's new stuff, and I'm digging into it. But I find a lot more credible information from Republic World News, Al Jazeera, and the BBC than I ever do off of Fox, CNN, or MS Now. I just will not. I don't trust our media. No, they do not sponsor me. And yes, I will be glad if they did. I just like drinking their water. Jared Kushner is no different than Hunter Biden. The Democrats railed against Kushner, said nothing about Hunter. The Republicans railed against Hunter, say nothing about Kushner. That's because you are no longer an American. Both parties, or neither party, is a representative of the United States people. And we've got to get back to being American. And that means we've got to destroy this current government that we have. And I don't mean literally destroy it. I just mean we need to tear it down and start over again. And if we could get the Epstein files released unredacted, it would do just that. We're all just one accident one diagnosis or one unexpected phone call from living a much different life. I implore you to stay humble, be kind, show your love, and check on your people. Until I see you on the next episode, take care.